My name is Lucy. I'm 15 years old and might be facing over 25 years in prison because my parents betrayed me. Let me tell you all about how I could spend half my life behind bars. I come from a really wealthy family. My parents were really loaded and they bought me everything I wanted. I got a pony for my 11th birthday and a massive party every single year. They changed their cars often and would only wear clothes from expensive brands. My mom would rarely wear the same outfit twice. Mom and Dad didn't seem to work too often, so it was strange that they were so wealthy, but I rarely asked any questions. It wasn't my place to ask them what was going on since I was their daughter. They weren't particularly strict, really, and let me get away with anything I wanted to do. But they were very adamant about me having to respect their privacy, which to me, it seemed normal. You know, if you grow up raised in a certain way, it's not until someone tells you it's odd that you realize something is wrong. Every time the issue of their work came up, they'd act all nervous and change the subject immediately. I sometimes felt like pushing the subject a bit and finding out what was going on, but they ended up becoming upset. I'd carefully ask Dad what he did for a living or Mom why she didn't seem to work even from home. They told me I should respect them, and asking such questions was being ungrateful and rude. I'll be honest, I did try and continue voicing my doubts a few more times, especially as I grew older, but once we got into a massive fight. They told me I could go live with my aunts or uncles if I was so worried about their employment status. That really scared me, since my dad and mom had never threatened to kick me out before. So I stopped asking altogether and decided it was better to trust them. That was the biggest mistake of my life. How could I imagine that my own parents, who seemed to love me more than anyone else in their lives, would betray me? As far as I know, moms and dads are supposed to care deeply for their children. They're supposed to protect them against the entire world, not use them as pawns. That's exactly what my parents were doing with me. I was really spoiled, and so it became easier to ignore the warning signs. Everything I asked for, they bought for me. I also went to an amazing school, and my parents promised that when I graduated, they would pay for the college of my choice. Something weird did begin to happen when I turned 13, but I never truly worried about it back then. My mom would have me sign all these documents. I asked what it was about, but she told me it was all right, that it was just paperwork for the school and my extracurricular activities. Those documents seemed too official to be anything like that, but Mom insisted so much I ended up signing them. And then came more papers I had to put my initials on, and I just agreed over and over again. Why should I be concerned? I was underage and my parents took great care of me. Clearly, they knew better, so I kept signing and signing without even reading a single line. Nowadays, I can't believe I could have been so foolish, but there was no way I could have suspected my mom and dad. They were really loving, and I believed their lies like any teenager would have. My life seemed perfect, or at least it did until the FBI showed up at our doorstep. They took my mom and dad away, and they told me to call their lawyers, that everything would be okay. I freaked out, of course. I was only 15 years old and found myself all alone in that big mansion, wondering what was happening to my mom and dad. I called my parents' lawyers, who told me I had done the right thing. They paid them a visit and then came and talked to me. They told me it was all going to be all right, and I was so relieved. Then they put even more documents in front of me and told me my mom said I needed to sign those as well. I was so emotionally drained that I didn't even hesitate. I just signed my name on the dotted line. At first, the lawyers tried to avoid telling me why my parents had been taken away. They kept repeating it was all a big misunderstanding and my folks would come back home soon. Meanwhile, my favorite aunt came to stay with me. Her name is Anna, and she was so supportive and kind. I didn't know soon she'd become my rock. Anna was the one who helped me discover the real reason behind my parents' imprisonment. Apparently, they were involved in this massive scam, and that was where all the money came from. They had swindled hundreds of people out of their hard-earned money through some kind of pyramid scheme. All the gifts they had given had come from the suffering of innocent citizens who trusted my parents. I didn't know what to do. You can imagine how upset I was, how disappointed I felt about what my parents had done to all those naive people. At the same time, I wondered how I could have been so silly not to realize they were clearly involved in some kind of crime.